So I just didn't know if you had any advice around air hunger.
Surprisingly, maybe to the average person out there would be surprised, but we see the words air hunger quite a bit. So what the heck is it? If you don't know about air hunger, it's kind of
What is your hot take on the FDA trying to ban natural desiccated thyroid?
So as we're recording this, I don't even know what she's about to say. We can cut this out after in post, but Amy Myers actually just texted me as we're recording this. This is unplanned, but this is like the latest of the latest.
I'm actually starting to have a little bit of a panic attack, but okay.
Hey, I've just had a lot of people reaching out. My teenage daughter, 15, was recently diagnosed with PCOS.
I'm sorry you and your daughter are going through this. And what's up, and welcome to The Art of Being Well. We're giving away some free healthy stuff, guys. Free signed books. You can pick which one you want, the inflammation spectrum, ketotarian, intuitive fasting, or gut feelings. We're giving away free supplement protocol stacks that we have at drwillcole.com, hormone support, brain support, gut health support, inflammation, lots of different options. And we're giving away free functional medicine telehealth consultations with the team and I. For a chance to win, you can pick which one you want. You head on over to Apple Podcast and rate and review The Art of Being Well there. Tell us what you love about the show. You could leave your Instagram handle in the Apple Podcast review itself, or take a screenshot of your review and message me on Instagram at Dr. Will Cole. And then the team goes through the messages on Instagram, as well as reading all your Apple Podcast reviews themselves. I read them as well. They're very nice. Thank you. And they'll randomly pick winners, and then they'll reach out to you and you can tell them what you want. The free signed book, the protocol, supplement protocol stack, or the telehealth consult. Okay. Got it? Good.
Got it, good.
To help me out, about twice a month, actually, we have entire episodes answering your burning hot health questions. They could be about health trends you saw on social media. They could be about research. They could be about your own health issue, hot take, hot or not, all the stuff. We get a gamut of questions.
We love it. We get
anything.
the hottest things, the spiciest, sexiest,
all the nightshades.
And I sit here,
all the high testosterone, high estrogen, not too high, balanced, estrone, estradiol, and estriol, balanced hormones.
There's something wrong with you. It's just seriously.
All right. So we have two brilliant members on my team, functional diagnostic nutrition practitioners. I've worked with them for 15 years and 8 years respectively.
You're actually coming up on 16 years in January.
Oh my gosh.
So.
Wow.
Getting old.
Getting old, yeah. So, yes, and something we launched last Ask Me Anything was, instead of reading out your questions, because typically you would email your questions and we'd get to as many of them as we could in these Ask Me Anything episodes, but it's a new era for the Art of Being Well Ask Me Anything episodes. We have...
I feel like there should be like background music for that, like new era.
I love that song.
We're getting to sing. I've had too much caffeine today, but yes, I'm excited about this.
So anyways, you can submit your question and record it like a voice memo to us, and we will play your health question on air on the pod. So to do that, you go to speakpipe.com/Dr. Will Cole. Again, that's speakpipe.com/Dr. Will Cole. And we got tons of them, and we'll get to as many of them as we can in this episode, but keep them coming in, because twice a month, we're going to be answering as many of these questions as possible. So I think that's everything. Who wants to go first?
That's me. Ooh. I'm going to go first. This first one is from Jessica. Let me go ahead and get this up.
I've been dealing with air hunger since I was little, and it really got worse when I was pregnant, and then again around 2020. I know I was in black mold. I detoxed with Cellcore, and then I got a lot of my strength back, but the air hunger was kind of mild, so I started seeing a new practitioner, and we started treating Babesia, Lyme, and all that stuff, and doing drainage, and I got worse as I started to use like the Cellcore IS-BAB and things like that to kill Babesia and some of the co-infections. And I don't know what to do, because I tried the Desbio the forward and reverse for Babesia, and their hunger slightly improved and then got worse again. So I just didn't know if you had any advice around air hunger. It's now weakened my diaphragm. What can I do for that as well? And then I'm sure COVID I think, made it worse because every time I get that, it makes my breathing worse, and I get a forgetting to breathe feeling as well. So I think there's something neurological going on as well. But I wanted to see if you had any advice around all this because it's been a really long road, and I'm tired, and I'm 32.
Yeah. So fatigue, the shortness of breath, the air hunger, as it's called, this is something that can happen. And especially when you're immersed in this world of autoimmunity and biotoxin issues, it's something that we actually talk a lot. It's on when like new telehealth consult forms whenever their top goals, surprisingly, maybe to the average person out there would be surprised, but we see the words air hunger quite a bit. Yeah. So what the heck is it? If you don't know about air hunger, it's kind of how its name implies, right? It's feeling hunger for air, like you can't catch your breath no matter what. And it's tied to shortness of breath, which is another way of putting, or dyspnea. But it's more than that. And it's caused by a variety of different things. One is just the imbalance of gases in the body. So if you carbon dioxide, oxygen. The air hunger is typically caused by too much carbon dioxide and not enough oxygen in the cells. Like on a cellular level, on a lung level, the body's just not oxygenating the way that it should. And acidosis, because of that, it can cause acidosis in the body, sort of a higher acid state where the body's stressed out and is literally hunger, as there's a cellular hunger for air, for oxygen. So that's what's going on. Now, that is the symptom, but from a differential diagnosis standpoint, there's a lot of different things that can cause air hunger. And she mentioned a few in the question.
Yeah, she had mold, Babesia.
Yeah, so those are different biotoxins. So mold releases mycotoxins or mold toxins, and then tick-borne problems. So bacteria, virus, mold, these different biotoxins that are, if you break that word down, biotoxins, they're sort of natural, they're from Earth, but they are toxic to the human body in higher levels, especially some people are more sensitive to it than others. So I would assume, based on her symptoms, statistically, we would have to do a genetic test to see that she's going to have different HLA, human leukocyte antigens, right, and probably some different methylation homozygous gene variants too. And this is very well documented in scientific literature that people that their immune system and in turn their nervous system doesn't know how to calm down when they're exposed to bacteria, virus, mold, and we have to retrain the nervous system, the breath, when we deal with the threat. And the fact that her air hunger worsened whenever they were provoking it with antimicrobials is an interesting facet too. It's okay, there's probably still something there if it flared it up, right, that maybe the source is not entirely dealt with, whether it be mycotoxins or something else, some tick-borne problems. And we see it for a certain percentage of people that even these sort of chronic Lyme symptoms stay alive because of something like mold toxins. And then we have to address sort of the mental emotional component, and something that we talk about at length on the podcast, and sort of looking at chronic stress, looking at unresolved trauma and the impact that's having on the nervous system and the neuroimmunoendocrine axis, that intersection between the nervous system, the immune system in the form of inflammation, and the endocrine system or hormones. So the protocol is going to be multi-pronged based off of what we find on their health history and labs. So hopefully that you know the limitations with a podcast. We don't know the intricacies of everything, but based on the context of what you told me, these are some considerations: is to deal with these threats of that's keeping the air hunger an issue for you, and then working on healing. So here's some things that are exciting in the scientific literature that we have a lot of great success with. Let me back up a bit. So to be clear, the mold, tick-borne, bacteria, virus, that has to be dealt with. That's going to be things like antimicrobials. It's going to have to be dealt with. And you have to be judicious with it. And you have to start off low and slow. You have to build up tolerance over time. And if you flare it up from a certain dosage, sometimes we overcorrect and go really high too fast, and then we swing the pendulum in the opposite direction and then go too low. We want to progress and improve you without having you to push through it or having a flare up or an exacerbation or a setback of your symptoms. And there's that fine line when you're dealing with biotoxin issues. No matter what we're talking about, whatever symptoms, it doesn't have to be air hunger. It could be chronic fatigue syndrome. It could be digestive problems. It could be brain fog. It could be any inflammatory symptom. We have to find that dose. And that's part of the reason why you even call the podcast The Art of Being Well. It's how do we apply the science in a way that's bio-individual for you? And you kind of in this limbo period where you were taking these antimicrobials and now it seems like you're off of them. And yes, we don't want you to push through and be too heavy-handed, but we don't, that's also a clinical pearl that there's something there.
Yeah.
That there's something that's still impacting the immune system that's stressing the body out. Now there's obviously other variables, but those are some thoughts there. Some other, I would say, complementary palliative nutrients to consider that's been shown in the research to be beneficial for people that have shortness of breath and air hunger. Thiamine, vitamin B1. Studies show that there's a certain percentage of people that have air hunger and shortness of breath have thiamine deficiency with specific metabolic issues and inflammatory problems. So there's a 2018 study that showed that. Magnesium, and I would say electrolytes as a whole, looking at sodium, potassium, and magnesium, those all have been shown to improve muscular, like calming down the muscles, magnesium specifically. But if we can increase muscular relaxation, that's a key component there. And how many people do we know when we optimize sodium, potassium, and magnesium, and calcium too, really, as another electrolyte?
Feeling better and
decreasing that respiratory distress. So that's not necessarily causation, even though it can. But I would say, if nothing else, an exacerbating variable that needs to be looked at.
You're just not going to feel good when those things are depleted too. And I think sometimes, in our experience with situations like this, because especially with mold, Babesia, anything like that, we know just how much that can take a toll on the body, that sometimes you just got to get the person feeling a little bit better, right? Like getting their head above water and calming that down. Because even with cases like that, I mean, we've had people before where they couldn't even take, methylation support, that's exacerbating things, right? They're very sensitive to that, right? And, she made that comment that taking certain things, she did get worse, right? And it might have been the antimicrobials, but even just, like you said, Dr. Cole, not doing too much to shock the body, but even just calming it down first and going low and slow, that's something that is really valuable. And finding someone that can work with you on a day-to-day basis in that way is something that we really value. And I think our patients value too, is that we're really looking at that and starting with what's going to get them feeling better and get their head above water in a situation like that.
Yeah. There's a few things that come to mind when I heard this and first listened to this. One, the first thing that comes to mind is that it gets worse when she's on something. So to your point, Dr. Cole, you mentioned that's a clinical pearl. That's telling us we're modulating something is happening. But is her body even in a place to be able to detox from these? So do we need to work on opening up those detox pathways? Do we have to get her out of an environment, like an actual physical environment that's making her sick, that anytime she tries to open it up, it's actually making it worse because she's still in a home that maybe has mold? That's one of my first things is, are you jumping too hard too quickly? And because these are products that we're familiar with and we know work for a lot of people. The other thing that I think of with this is, how can we get her body to feel more calm? And so you mentioned a couple of things that maybe aren't causation but could be correlated. I even think of peptides. We know peptides like KPV can be really great for lung health and lung regeneration. So does she just need something to get her head above water for a time to help her feel better? But I hear her and I know how frustrating that can be and what she's going through.
I think there's a few good points that you all mentioned is that you're right. If there is she may think, maybe it's not even black mold, maybe it's low levels, is that when the immune system's flared up and the past exposure, it may not have been the primary exposure, but your body's, it's like stressing an already stressed out body. So
Right.
sometimes it's like, I would get your whole home inspected.
Yeah,
and I'm not
100%.
saying mold is the cause of everyone's problem. I'm not in that camp, but it can,
No.
for people that are mold sensitive, that have an activated immune system, it doesn't, we want to be diligent with cleaning that up. So look at
Yeah.
HVACs, look at air conditioning systems, having a proper mold inspection done from someone that is well respected in that space. For people that are mold sensitive, it's important here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is one thing that we see when we are titrating up with antimicrobials or detox support. Sometimes that is a big limiting reagent to people that do not tolerate basic things at small doses even. So that is a clinical pearl. Is there something environmentally that it may not be mold? It
Yeah.
may be something else that's
Yeah.
not mold.
Yeah.
But something's keeping it alive. But we're mentioning mold because
Yeah.
you mentioned it within your question.
Right.
And other ways to retrain the body with air hunger would be transcutaneous vagal nerve stimulation. That is a significant tool.
I was
Vagus
saying
nerve is the
something.
largest cranial nerve in the body, that resting, digesting, deep cellular oxygenating state, because you're not in that sympathetic fight or flight stress, like short, shallow breaths to get out of that threatened state. You can actually, your body can have deep diaphragmatic breathing, which vagal nerve is probably going to be weak in a case
Well,
like
she
this.
said
Yeah.
she mentioned her diaphragm. She said,
Right,
I feel
it's
like my
weakened.
diaphragm is
Yeah.
weak.
Yeah.
And that was actually, I was like, I hope you're doing breathing
Yeah, so
exercises.
transcutaneous, there's many devices out there, and we integrate these into telehealth patient protocols. But to stimulate that vagus nerve, to stimulate
Right.
the resting, digesting, breath work should be paired with the transcutaneous vagal nerve
But
stimulation.
she might, again, and there's some people, you say that to them though up front, they're like, I don't even feel like I could do that at this point too, which is why I think some of those devices or something like
Yeah.
that could be good to start off with too.
Yeah.
Just to like feel like that it's like those passive things that feels
Yeah.
like it's like all day long that's helping them, because so
I
they
think-
feel like they can integrate that with it.
Yeah, I think we talked about this. I don't know if it's the last AMA, but the one before.
It
Is
was
the-
recently.
Picking something active and something passive is typically what we talk to telehealth patients about. So because they are overwhelmed, there's lots of things to think about. So something active could be breath work, diaphragmatic breathing's really important with air hunger,
Yes.
and very well documented in the scientific literature. But then pairing that with some like a transcutaneal, which is basically it's not like actual like a needle that's going into the vagus nerve, which that is another therapy, but that's more invasive.
Yeah.
That's something you go to a clinic for. You're not doing that on your own, of course, obviously. And then there's actual like surgical procedures to stimulate the vagus nerve. Sometimes those bigger and more invasive surgical procedures within a medical clinic is appropriate for more severe cases. But there's a lot of exciting science looking at things like breathwork, diaphragmatic breathing, and transcutaneous vagal nerve stimulation, where you're just having a device on your own, like on your body or put against the skin, because it's transcutaneous. It's stimulating the vagus nerve through the skin, but not puncturing the skin. Has some exciting research around it.
Yeah.
Hyperbaric oxygen therapy, another
Yeah.
significant one. It's been shown to improve pulmonary function. I pulled up a study here, 2019 study, may reduce the shortness of breath in this hypoxic state, this lack of oxygen state
Well, it's
on
forcing
a cellular
oxygen
level.
into the cell.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, exactly.
It's giving your body what you're trying to get.
Yeah.
It's like if you see someone excessively yawning, you can tell they're obviously their body
Yeah.
is trying to get more oxygen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is a modality that has a lot of great benefits to it, but I mean, it's specific to the mold toxicity too. And like,
Yeah, right. On top of the air hunger,
Yeah.
you're right. It's actually helping the immune system kill off any pathogen.
Yeah.
It's a great point. Some other ones, I saw this random study. It's called fan therapy.
Fan therapy?
Yeah. Basically, the study was done in 2020 in the American Journal of Hospital Palliative Care. Directing cool air in the face reduces the shortness of breath, just kind of getting more, almost like a sleep apnea, a CPAP.
Like a small, like less direct way to get oxygen in your
Yeah,
face.
it's just this is
Is
definitely
it
not dealing with
specific
the
to
cause.
the cool air? Like
Well,
obviously,
it was just a fan there, yeah. So it was, yeah, similar mechanism of action. I would assume like to CPAP like a CPAP machine with CPAP apnea at night, which is also a form of
Yeah.
air hunger. A lot of studies around shortness of breath and air hunger and sort of hypoxic state has done in COPD patients. So you can see from a differential diagnosis, like COPD can have air hunger too. This is not what this woman is talking about here. I would assume so. But there's a lot of potential problems. Asthma is another one, of course, right? That can have air hunger. So yeah, these are some thoughts, and you have to deal with the cause of the air hunger to heal the air hunger.
Yeah, and you look at things that people may not even realize are air hunger. Like I think of people have heard us talk about this, that you and I share our grandma. We are related. Our grandma had COPD. She grew up in that time when you started smoking cigarettes at like 8 years old in like the 40s. So this was common for then. But something she, towards the end when her COPD got really bad, was she couldn't stand anything tight against her chest. Like she didn't want to wear a bra. She didn't want like even a tight tank top because she felt like it was restricting her breathing. And I was like, it's physiologically not restricting your breathing. It's your lungs. You're searching for oxygen you can't get in. So don't ignore these little symptoms or these things, because if you're sensitive to them, if your body is searching for something, it might be telling us that there's a bigger picture out there that we need to look at.
Yep. Acupuncture is another one. Acupuncture and acupressure has been shown to improve breathlessness, severity, and quality of life. This is a 2020 study in the Journal of Pain Symptom Management. So there's a lot of, that's a kind of a nervous system retraining. Anything to support the parasympathetic is really I would assume, the way that a lot of these adjunctive complementary tools could work on, which is why we're recommending some of these central tenets. Do you need all this stuff? Not necessarily, but a lot of the stuff we talked about really can be great. Supporting the parasympathetic, retraining breathing, deeper oxygenating, getting that vagus nerve supported, and then dealing with the underlying irritant in the first place.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. You ready for the next one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hello, Dr. Will Cole and team. My question today is, what is your hot take on the FDA trying to ban natural desiccated thyroid? I personally actually don't know much about it other than it's in conversation. I personally take NP thyroid. That has always been a better choice for me than other options out there. So I was just curious on your take, and what do you think of for somebody like me who takes a natural desiccated to remove that and replace that with a thyroid glandular instead as a treatment plan. I'm curious about your take. Thank you.
Okay, can we just talk about the sweet little baby in the background
Yeah.
for just
Special
one moment before we
appearance.
jump into it? It was
Yeah.
so sweet. And her name was Danielle.
Yes.
It's mom life. You're like, you can't even leave a voice message.
I know.
That's so true. You
Danielle,
can't go to the bathroom.
All I can see is this sweet little
Yeah.
baby trying to talk to you while you're trying to talk to us.
She's like hiding in the closet somewhere. Like, leave me alone for a minute.
We know your pain.
Yeah.
It's a blessing.
Yeah. All right. So what happened? I made a few posts about this. They kind of got shared around a lot. So people want to know what's going on. And even if you didn't hear it from me, you heard it from somebody in our space, right? The FDA initially sent out a letter August 6th to manufacturers, importers, and distributors of animal-derived thyroid replacement hormones. So desiccated natural thyroid hormone medications. Involves things like Armour thyroid, NP thyroid, nature thyroid, natural thyroid, lots of desiccated thyroid supplements. The FDA sends a letter to these manufacturers and importers and says, you have a year to do this, but we're going to transition they're going to basically make it illegal to be on these natural desiccated thyroid hormones, because they want to go towards transition people to FDA approved synthetic thyroid hormone replacement medications such as Synthroid, levothyroxine, these type of ones. So there was a big uproar, a lot of noise online, because
There should be.
We're talking about the FDA. Dr. Marty Macri is. Let me do that again. I'm gonna pause this because I always say his name wrong. Brooke, if we can cut that. 3, 2, 1. There was a lot of uproar on social media, online, because especially because those of us that are talking about HHS and Bobby Kennedy and Dr. Marty Makary, who's the FDA commissioner, how could they do this if they're coming against natural thyroid? And they wanted our perspective on it. I didn't have, I'm in the telehealth space. I didn't know what was going on behind closed doors within the FDA. But since then, I got some insight on it that they're in the middle of a clinical trial, and there was what I've heard is that there's some potential deviation between the doses of the T4 and T3 above the percentage of allowance. So there's less specificity of the dosage of T4 and T3 within some, not all. The worry is if you get a higher dose of T4 or T3, it's very specific with Synthroid, but we talk about naturally desiccated thyroid hormones that's glandular from animals, there could be a slight skew where it's not as specific with this is amount of micrograms of T4 and T3. That's always been sort of the conversation with conventional medicine. But millions and millions of people depend on these medications and don't do well with Synthroid and levothyroxine, and have tried it all, exhausted all options, and had to end up on the natural thyroid. It's not even because that was their first choice.
Right.
They tried the synthetic ones. It didn't work for them for whatever reason. So they went to the naturally desiccated thyroid issues. So there was a petition. Dr. Amy Myers, if you know anybody in functional medicine, she's like a legend in her space. She texted me and she said, "Hey, I have a petition, and can you amplify the message?" So I made a post about it, and I collabed with Dr. Josh Axe, a friend of mine, Dr. Joel Gator, who's a pediatrician, Alex Clark of Culture Apothecary, friend of mine, Courtney Swan, Real Foodology, and Amy Myers. I think that was the 5 of us. So we made a post about it, amplifying the petition that Dr. Amy Myers made. Hundreds of thousands of people, I don't know the exact amount, have signed it, shared it, all of that stuff, talking about it, raised awareness around it. In that time, there were a few people within functional medicine that spoke directly with Dr. Marty Makary, the head of the FDA, and spoke with Bobby Kennedy, the head of HHS. HHS is above the FDA. And the next day, Dr. Marty Makary, the head of the FDA, made a release because of those of us within functional medicine communicating with them. He said the FDA is committed to pursuing the first ever approval of desiccated thyroid extract pending results of the ongoing clinical trials. In the meantime, he says, we will ensure access for all Americans. I took it as a signal that there's nobody who's going to lose their thyroid replacement hormone. There's an ongoing clinical trial. Knowing their philosophy on healthcare anyways, they want to improve quality and improve access as far as more natural options for people to be less red tape around more natural things or innovative things or things that are non-pharmaceutical but are still very helpful. So when I first thought it, what I said was my initial thought, let me pull up my initial sort of statement on it, is that the FDA is a massive agency with many moving parts. I truly believe our voices will be heard and this will go under review and shift course, in that those in charge want effective options, but they also want safe options for people. So if they need to improve the formulation of some of these and improve the specificity of T4 and T3 with some of these, I think that's fair enough. Mm-hmm. But let's not overcorrect and then remove it entirely from the market. Let's just have safe, effective, natural options for people. Now, when I posted the fact that this is what Dr. Makary tweeted, Dr. Myers texted me again, and she was like, "Hey, this, in my opinion, this is not rescinding until we can get this in writing that they are not rescinding this. This is just a tweet." Fair enough. I agree. Mm-hmm. A tweet is not a law. Right. A tweet is not legislation or a verdict as far as the FDA is concerned. So what they're asking for is that initially, before all of this, many people didn't even know, the FDA originally gave natural thyroid hormones until 2029 to get approval. Like, get your stuff together. improve quality, improve specificity, you have until 2029 to get better. They are asking, the group of people within this movement is asking they just go back to 2029 instead of giving that year deadline, because that wasn't enough time. So in the meantime, millions of people are being helped. I know I'm being verbose with this and giving you a lot of details, but that's sort of the backstory that maybe a lot of people don't know. So I still would sign Dr. Amy Meyer's petition. I will put it in the show notes at drwillcole.com. I still want to amplify this and make sure that people's voices are heard and that we see this through. That's kind of my take on it, because we see this help people on a daily basis.
Yes, yeah.
People that need to be on it. We deal with people that have autoimmunity, people with Hashimoto's disease, people that don't have thyroids. They need this access to this medication, and it is a medication, even though it's naturally sourced. It's still a medication.
It's still prescription.
It's still prescription. Yeah. So that's kind of my take on it. But what do y'all think?
I am for choices. I think that to take something like this off of the market would be a gross injustice to the people that it is helping. And I agree with you. If there is something that it can to do it better, but let's also investigate some of the non-desiccated ones that have like gluten in them that also don't work for people because they're not the highest quality.
Those,
Can we reevaluate the non-desiccated versions of the thyroid? I'm all for better, more research, being investigative. I don't want to be a stick in the mud that gets stuck in my ways, and I like something and I like it the way that I like it. I have to force myself out of that way of thinking. So I'm fine with us evaluating a good thing, but when you have millions of people who are being helped by something, to send a letter out like that, I could see how that could encompass people in fear. And I don't think that's a way that I would want my leaders to lead. And so I would just ask them to take a step back. A tweet is nice, great, glad you're having it. Extend the deadline. We need more. There needs to be more time, more things. I'd be repeating what you said if I said anything else. But to me, it's just, I'm all for choices. If someone wants Synthroid, they should, and it works for them, they should be on it. If someone wants a desiccated, and there's a good way to, and we know it's obviously working for people, that should be a choice. And to try and remove that from the market is, it's too broad of a blanket statement when it's helping too many people.
When I go back to the bioindividuality, like you said too earlier, right? That's so important that we are addressing and focusing on that too. And we need to be monitoring people better, right?
Yeah.
Like, I get what you're saying and what they're concerned about, that it could be skewed, but if we're monitoring people as we're trying these things to find what works best for them, and we're doing a good job at that,
doctors doing their job.
Yeah, part of this is because the concern is if you're getting too much T4, T3, it can be deadly if you're getting too much, that you can cause heart attacks and issues. I'm not saying that's caused by these sides.
Have we ever seen that?
No, we've never seen it.
We've never seen
so
it.
That's my point. It probably is being too fear-mongering and too conservative about these things, too protective about it. And look, a lot of people are pushing back and saying this is something to do with the pharmaceutical industry. This is like some manufacturer that's saying we don't want the natural options. I don't know. Could it be? Could it be? Yeah.
Yeah, we could go down a conspiracy rabbit hole, but if you look at it on the face value, I'm sorry, we've been practicing for 15 and a half years.
Never seen it.
I have never seen that.
If it's dosed appropriately.
If it's
monitored.
We're also monitoring it. And that's where I feel like if someone wants to try it, this industry just needs to get better at monitoring what we're handing out.
That's true. Because how many people do we know that they adjust? This is like their conventional doctor. They're adjusting even the synthetic ones.
Yes.
And they don't ever retest.
They're like, see you in 12 months.
Well, and when they do, they don't even run a full thyroid panel.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
They're looking at TSH and not even looking at T3.
So here's a public service announcement for everybody. Whether you're on synthetic ones or naturally desiccated thyroid hormones, when you're finding the right dosage, retest every 4 to 6 weeks.
Yes.
Check in with your body. Are you having change of symptoms? Call your doctor. Advocate for yourself. Reach out to us. We'll test the labs for you. Because if you're having a worsening of your symptoms or things are not getting better, are they overcorrecting or undercorrecting, and dose it appropriately? So as we're recording this, I don't even know what she's about to say. We can cut this out after in post. But Amy Myers actually just texted me as we're recording this. Do we want to leave it? Let's play it. I guess this is unplanned, but this is like the latest of the latest.
I'm actually starting to have a little bit of a panic attack, but okay.
Hey, Will, it's Amy.
Hey, I've just had a lot of people reaching out since the post about Marty's tweet went up. I know you updated it in the caption that it wasn't a victory, but I just don't think people look to the caption. I think they just see the photo and the tweet, and people just made a lot of assumptions. So, I mean, the FDA definitely did not rescind the August 6th letter. And, yeah, I mean, definitely don't believe it's a victory. Even Google and AI and CP chat will say it's not a victory. So I don't know if you're willing to, post something else, just
We're willing.
I don't know, saying that it's not a victory, and to still send people to the petition or wherever you'd like to send them. But anyway, I've just had enough people reach out to me asking if that's something you'd be willing to do, that I finally picked up the phone and am asking. I appreciate all your support, and it just is amazing and shows the reach that you and Josh Axe have. That, I think there've probably been millions of views of this, but the petition is virtually stopped, I think in part or mostly due to that. And, people are just finding it really conflicting information and don't know who to believe. So we definitely don't want the FDA to get, the upper hand here, thinking that we've taken the foot off the gas. But I think that's kind of what unfortunately has happened. Anyway, let me know, and I'm happy to help however I can. Thanks. Bye.
Okay. So that was hot off the presses. I'll have to get permission. This is just a text voice message. I'll get permission from Amy to play this. But assuming that she gave permission, that you're hearing this right now on the podcast. I think there was confusion, and I personally do have full faith that what I said was going to happen, and I'm taking Marty for his word. But I get it. I do understand when you have that many moving parts, we have to see this through beyond a tweet.
Yes.
And I'm in agreement with Dr. Myers and everybody else within functional medicine. We have to, Marty signaled good things, but let's have it executed in paper.
Yeah, do our due diligence, sign the petition.
Yeah. So I apologize for anybody creating confusion. That wasn't my intention. But, I was excited about the tweet. What can I say? And I think it's at least movement in the right direction. People's voices are being heard.
It was an acknowledgement. It was at minimum an acknowledgement, which is a good thing. But at the end of the day, if you need some help, if you need to know how to navigate things, and you're on one of these medications and you're worried, our doors are always open.
And we will monitor.
We will monitor, and we will find a way, and we'll advocate for you, and we'll tell you how to navigate these difficult situations.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So to be clear, I guess Amy said, amplify. Yes, that's what I wanted to announce it on the podcast.
Dr. Amy asked us to amplify. We are doing more than just that.
So sign the petition. We'll put it in the show notes. We need to see this through.
All right. Ready for the next question?
Yeah.
All right. This one is from Hannah. Sorry, I just need to make sure my sound is up.
My teenage daughter, 15, was recently diagnosed with PCOS. I have it as well as some autoimmune issues and some mental health things. I was wanting to know what the best approach for natural medicine or functional health would be when it comes to kids. I live in Georgia, and I've struggled to find anything or even doctors willing to test her for autoimmune items like Hashimoto's. So I'd love any advice you may have.
Okay. So I'm sorry you and your daughter are going through this, and it could be very difficult, especially when you see your baby go through this. And it's one thing for you to go through it and don't feel good, but it's like if you could just, as a parent, I know how gut-wrenchingly painful it can be to I just want to take it away, and you just cry for help. So we're there. We have many adolescent telehealth patients, and we, of course, are adapting. The kids typically, not every time, typically need less tools within their toolbox. Their bodies tend to be more resilient, but we make it age appropriate. We make it accessible. We make it realistic for kids, but depending on their schedule and their preferences and all this stuff. So reach out on the clinical level, but on an advice side of things, there's not much advice given in the conventional model other than take this birth control.
Yeah, 100%. And then she's what, 6? She said 15 or 16 years old?
15.
Yeah.
15. And then when she's 28 and trying to get pregnant and having issues because she's been on birth control for 13 years and no one told her how it impacted her. And yeah, I have so much frustration when I hear this for that mom, because one, just to hear no one in my area will do this. The fact that no one will even listen
Well, it doesn't even
is a problem.
Maybe just a shout out to all the rural people out there, because I'm rural. It doesn't matter if you're in Los Angeles. Doesn't matter if you're in New York City,
Yes.
because we talk to those people too, and they're in
Yeah.
the same boat as
Same
you
thing,
are.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like it's not a town
Yeah.
issue. It is just, if anything, you have to waste your time less from going doctor to doctor and every doctor around the corner,
Yeah.
because it's a model, not a doctor issue.
Correct.
100%. And so when I hear that, I'm immediately frustrated for her. And that's actually how I took it. It wasn't because it was rural, but because there was just nobody willing to help her.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
is so incredibly frustrating. And then she's looking at it and I hear her. She's like, well, if I have this and my daughter has it, obviously there's something going on here hereditary wise that needs to be addressed. And I don't want her to end up where I am. And that's exactly what they do. Here's your birth control. Sorry you're having issues. Take some pain meds for when your periods hurt. Like, that's literally all these young girls are getting.
And maybe metformin or something like that, but
Yes.
not even know if they give many teenagers that,
I
but
was
they
gonna say,
could.
they could.
Yeah. But look, the metformin is probably the best like tool within that pharmaceutical mainstream medicine, because it's dealing with the insulin resistance. And PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, is driven by, in part, insulin resistance. So metformin, from a mechanism of action standpoint, does make a little sense. Like, that's their best tool within the toolbox. But you don't have PCOS because of a metformin deficiency. So like, it's probably their best option, but it's not dealing with the root cause of why you had the problem in the first place.
Right.
So let's look at metabolic health. Let's look at environmental toxins that are linked to PCOS. Let's look at herbicides and pesticides and heavy metals and endocrine disruptors and
Nutrition,
microplastics, nutrient deficiencies, there's
Yep.
gut health. There's a lot of things that need to be looked at as to why somebody would have these hormonal metabolic problems in the first place. So we would build a food protocol. Like, some ketogenic diet is a tool
Yep.
that's been used. You don't always have to be in ketosis, but it's a therapeutic intervention using food as medicine to build insulin sensitivity.
Yep.
And then we moderate carbs from there.
You
don't
can
have to
even
be
do it like cycling, carb
a
cycling.
cyclical ketogenic
Yeah.
diet. Yeah. And for a time. It's just done for a time, and then we moderate carbs and enjoy fruits and all these things. But as a sort of a metabolic rehabilitation standpoint, using ketogenic diet in a whole food, nutrient dense way, at least cyclically, even around someone's menstrual cycle, sort of to really nourish hormones in a cyclical way, is important. Dealing with nutrient deficiencies like vitamin D, it improves insulin sensitivity. We want vitamin D to be 60 to 80, and studies have shown again and again that it reduces androgens and improves insulin sensitivity. You're going to see high, when we run a Dutch test, a urine saliva hormonal test, you're going to see these really high androgen levels, typically with most types of PCOS, and high insulin on blood tests, blood sugar A1C off. You're going to see this sort of a quorum. Why am the name's eluding me? Sort of a set of biomarkers you can expect to see.
Yeah, it's all those metabolic dysfunction that you're going to, there's so many different things that we can look at. And especially with a young child with PCOS, I then have to think, is she having really heavy periods? Then we have to look at iron deficiencies. And then we have to look at her blood sugar. And then we have to look at her gut as well. Her gut health.
Yeah.
Then we have to look at the inflammatory markers. Is she methylating properly? There's so much here that can be done. And we're talking teenagers, but we can talk younger kids even than that. Maybe they're like, how many young children are we seeing now that are getting their periods far too early? Yeah, we're having kids as young as 9 years old who are getting their period. That's not okay. And so this is something we have to explore on a very deep level, that we can't just put a Band-Aid on it and expect our next generation to be healthy. And so here is a mom who's actively seeking that advice. So I love that we can have this conversation.
I think it's a beautiful thing. And again, just to encourage her, like, there's so many things much that can be done.
There's no hope that's lost.
Yeah.
Dr. Cole's talking about nutrition. There's supplements that we can do.
Yeah, can I talk about some of the supplements? So this is food is first. Food is first. Run labs. Food is first, and then some key supplements have been shown. Myo-inositol,
Yes.
game changer. It enhances insulin signaling, regulates menstrual cycle, improves ovarian function. Meta-analysis showed reduced metabolic biomarkers on labs, and the word that I was trying to think of the other couple minutes ago is pattern. A
Yes, a pattern of markers.
Pattern. You know that really rare word called
feel
pattern?
good now? You feel better?
It was bugging me. I was like, why can't I think of that word? Pattern. A pattern. Omega-3 fatty acids. Most people are really high on omega-6, not enough omega-3.
Yes.
So supplementing omega-3s, decreasing omega-6.
Yeah, taking out those seed oils, even just switching over to better oils.
Well, she's a teenager, so we can only assume what her diet looks like.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. But even making small switches like that, it's a great start.
Or if you can't get your kid to eat fish, take a supplement. That's what we're talking about.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's great.
Curcumin's another one, reducing inflammation, insulin resistance. CoQ10, another one, supports fertility, reduces inflammation, lowers insulin, improves egg quality. Berberine, which is like nature's glucophage, nature's metformin, it enhances ovulation and insulin sensitivity. As effective as metformin in fertility outcomes.
Yep.
2019 study found that.
Say it for the people in the back. Say it again.
Chromium is another one. Improves lipid profiles, insulin sensitivity, and then move your body. High intensity interval training, weight training. The more you can build lean muscle, it's like a glucose sponge.
Join the millennials with the weighted vests, guys. Come on, we're here for it.
I haven't made it there yet, but I have borrowed Andrea's before.
That's when you know
Emily,
you're good
buy
friends.
your own. Come on. She comes into work and I have her vest on. That's a new level of friendship, though. You know.
And then
can you share?
Andrea mentioned peptides, the BPC 157,
that's
KPV.
good.
Anything that's anti-inflammatory can be beneficial. So these are some effective
about
tools within the
stress?
toolbox. Yeah,
Stress is a huge thing.
Yeah.
This is a teenager. I have 2 teenagers right now. High school is freaking stressful, man. Like, this is no joke. So I can only imagine she's hormonal. She's in pain. She's dealing with this. She's being told just to deal with it. She can't find anybody to help her. You couple that with all the natural hormone changes that happen in a teenager. Like, you got to do some things to help with stress management. The movement is one thing. And then being intentional about detoxing from your social media, spending time outside, and I see kids. How many times do we have a child that someone brings to us? They're getting up at 5 a.m. They're cramming for a test. They're going to school for 8 hours. They're then going to their after-school activities. They're then going to their show choir practice. They're coming home to do their homework, and then they're scarfing down dinner, and then going to bed.
Yeah.
That is not maintainable for someone with hormone dysfunction.
Right. And then the mom mentions there's sort of this autoimmune component with her as well. So it's more than one thing. It's not just the PCOS as well. We have to think of sort of the autoimmune component for them.
Yeah. Right.
Some people don't have that Hashimoto's component, but I'd be curious to see what role that is playing.
Because she said autoimmune, but she didn't say even what type of autoimmune.
I thought she said Hashimoto's.
No, she just said autoimmune.
That's very highly, associated. You have a lot of people because it's metabolic, it's hormonal, and it's like one sort of is a gasoline on the fire for the other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think my only other mom piece of advice, because it sounds like you're doing so much, obviously if you're asking this question, you're advocating for your child, which is a beautiful thing too. Even, we've had parents who've brought their kids to us before too, and you're probably doing your due diligence and trying to explain it to them the best you can too. Sometimes they need to hear it from someone else too, and that's okay. And I think that that's a beautiful thing too. And doing this together and being on a health journey together, that's a wonderful thing too. And
Emily and I have led youth before when we're like, someone else needs to tell your kid what to do.
But I think it's okay too. I just want to encourage you to keep going, keep fighting for her. That's a wonderful thing. And if you need someone like us or whoever to come alongside and support you in that, it's a great thing for her to hear the truth. So,
and wherever you are in the world, we can help you. That's why we're telehealth, have been for 14 plus years. We're here. We can do it.
Yeah. Yeah. So hopefully that was helpful for some
Well,
thoughts.
and a lot of the supplements you gave are also really good for autoimmune as well.
Yes.
Yeah, right. So one other thought I want to say before we move on is, there's genetics that predispose for a lot of these things, right? But genetics, like the crude analogy is like genetics loads the gun, epigenetics pulls the trigger.
Yep.
So is it just genetics, or is there something environmentally? And that's why my mind goes to, maybe it's the foods they're eating, maybe it is. Or is there an environmental toxin component
100%.
that they're both around? They both have this problem. So many people have these environmental toxins in their body. If you're eating, drinking, exposed to similar things, it's something to think about.
Oh, yeah. That's why when you have even husband and wife who have no genetic correlation, hopefully, they...
Unless you're in West Virginia.
Hell, don't hate on West Virginia. We love our West
We're
Virginia.
close enough.
Okay.
If there are any West Virginians that are watching this,
We love you.
I'm basically in West Virginia. I'm a southwestern
Exactly.
Pennsylvanian.
Wow,
so
wonderful.
it's
Okay.
said with love. If you're in the club, you could say this stuff.
Anyway,
Wild and wonderful is right. Mountaineers, come on, baby.
Yes.
Emily is your hype woman all the time.
100%.
Anyways,
He
as I
needs
was
it.
saying,
Look, if I was in New York or saying that about
Oh my
Virginia,
gosh.
I'd be an elitist
Offended.
a-hole. But if I from freaking Westmoreland County, Pennsylvania, I could
we
say
go
it.
camping one weekend in West Virginia, and you're acting like you're West Virginian. Anyways,
An hour away from it. To me, it's close enough.
It's family.
Yeah, it's basically I'm a cousin.
oh man,
I'm a cousin.
please be kind in the Instagram
Sam is
comments,
dying
please.
right now.
Okay, we could probably Utah has some
Oh
problems.
my gosh. Okay,
You guys, we have to move on.
We're getting back on track.
Sam,
Okay.
who monitors our podcast, is literally in the background dying right now.
She-
So
she-
we need to move on for her sake.
Okay, you can't
But
censor me. I'm
can
not being
I-
shut up.
Can I? No, we're not trying to censor you. All I was trying to say, it was my own fault. I opened the
I know,
door.
I digressed. This.
It was that you see this even with spouses, is that they have eerily similar lab results. They're not genetically the same, but they're getting triggered by the same thing, and it can manifest differently. You can have a spouse that feels like absolute crap, is dealing with, weight loss resistance, brain fog, like all this stuff, and then you have a spouse that maybe theirs looks entirely different. Maybe they're having digestive distress, they're having frequent bowel movements. They can have the same environmental triggers, but have completely different genetic makeup, and their labs can look very much the same. And so when you see it, especially within a family, it's all the more reason to get
moms and
your
daughters,
environment
Yep.
looked at.
All right.
Last question.
Oh my goodness.
Live and wonderful. Let's go.
Oh my gosh. Let's move on.
right.
Play the question, please.
This question is from Brittany.
Hi, Dr. Will Cole. I just have a quick question about peptides. I know you've just recently been talking about them on social media and also on your podcast, and I was just wondering what you think about retatrutide. Now, I know it's not FDA approved yet, but what does that look like? Is that something you guys are looking forward to? What are your thoughts on the information that's available? Thanks.
Thanks for the
I liked her voice, by the way.
She's great.
I
Very
don't know.
relaxing
Is
voice.
her name Brittany?
Yes.
Brittany, I really like your voice.
Yes, I do too.
All right. This is getting to West Virginia.
I loved it. Okay, so here's the deal. Most peptides aren't FDA approved, but they're used for research purposes. There's a lot of exciting science around it. People use them on their own, and we utilize them a lot for telehealth patients to explore these emerging therapies out there.
Yeah.
And people, in my opinion, should have the right to take these things that are peptide based with the right set and context and dose and purity and quality, all of that stuff. So retatrutide, what is it? It's a tripeptide. There's a lot of amazing kind of tripeptide, combination peptide formulas out there. But this one includes GLP-1 agonists like semaglutide, which enhances insulin secretion in a glucose-dependent manner, delays gastric emptying, basically slows GI motility, so it makes you feel fuller longer, improving blood sugar stability, and people are less hungry. So that's why you're seeing this sort of rise of the benefits of GLP-1 agonists like semaglutide, Ozempic, Wegovy, and all the sort of brand names. But the retatrutide doesn't just have the GLP-1 agonist, it also has GIPRs, which are glucose-dependent insulinotropic receptor site activity as well. So that also boosts insulin release post-meal, improves fat metabolism, improves lipolysis, and reduces, which I think is going to be exciting as more and more people get to try these peptides, reduces gastrointestinal side effects that are associated with GLP-1 agonists. So it kind of decreases some of the side effects of the GLP-1 by itself. And then the third peptide that retatrutide includes is our GCGRs, or glucagon receptors, which increases energy expenditure, increases lipolysis again. So in short, it has a synergistic effect. A lot of the studies done, and this is kind of what Brittany was saying, is it's under clinical trials right now. So there's a lot of phase 2 trials going on. Significant weight loss so far as the data is concerned, up to 24.2% body weight reduction in 48 weeks, improves glycemic control, A1C reduction, up to 2 points in 36 weeks, phase 2 clinical trial in type 2 diabetics, reducing liver fat, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, high AST, ALT, and fat around the liver, reducing that significantly, over 80% mean relative liver fat reduction. Pretty impressive.
It is.
Improve lipid profiles, reduction in triglycerides, because that's stored. That's a compensatory mechanism of stored blood sugar. So the body says, okay, I don't have to store blood sugar as circulating fat around the midsection, fat around the liver with fatty liver disease. So of course you're going to see decreased triglycerides too, because blood sugar is more stable. And of course the ripple effect, that long-term potential cardiovascular benefits, because insulin resistance is the leading cause of heart disease in the United States. So I'm excited about it. I'm excited about all the peptide spaces, and I really do think it's going to be such a burgeoning field of therapeutics out there. But it comes with a both and, right? I don't think the United States has the 93% metabolically unhealthy rate because of this retatrutide deficiency.
Yeah.
So let's deal with why we have this problem, and then use advancements in therapeutics to enhance the benefits. So I think a both and not either or approach, as with all peptides. We utilize lots of these peptides within the clinic. And yes, you're talking about FDA approval given out in your PCP or GP. Pretty much every longevity, functional medicine, integrative medicine clinic is utilizing peptides right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In sort of off-label ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that you both looked at me.
I know.
I was, wow, okay. I obviously we use peptides. I just recommended one 14 minutes ago, if you were listening.
So specific.
Hey.
I timed
Wouldn't
myself.
it be funny if that was actually 14 minutes ago?
Probably was with your brain.
I believe that it's accurate.
Yeah, she said 14 minutes, 25 seconds ago.
Hey, it serves all of you very well.
Yeah.
It does.
No, I just have, when we have that gastro emptying effect, that gastroparesis type worry, it's always something that gives me pause only for our patients in a broader scale, because we deal with so many people that have gastro issues already, IBS-C in particular. So you're seeing a lot of those constipation type patients. Sometimes this is, even though it has benefits that could benefit them, do the side effects outweigh the benefits? And I think this is why you have to look at these things bio-individually. You cannot make a blanket statement and just call it a peptide and say, well, it would help with this, so it's safe, when it's really, it could not be. And we see this with,
Right.
a lot of different things. And I'm excited about this world, and I'm glad we're talking about it more. And I love the innovation. And how many times have we seen patients with serious chronic gastrointestinal issues on something like BPC, either subcutaneous or, oral.
Yeah.
We're seeing this, and even the topical world of it, people with hair loss and skin issues. And I love it. But I want everybody to just take a moment of pause and ask yourself, why are you starting it? If you're metabolically unhealthy, are you looking for a quick fix? Or are you looking something to amplify the effect of what you're already working on?
Sure.
And for me, that is a conversation that you have to have with someone objectively if you can't have it with yourself. And how many times we see patients that come to us and they are just frustrated and they think they've explored it, but we know that there's more to explore. And so I would say, if you can't be objective on your own, find someone that can be that sounding board for you and ask yourself why you're starting this. This isn't the naysay the peptide world. I just talked extensively about how much I love it. I just would give pause to what you said.
And when you pair it with all these sort of underlying causes of why we have problems in the first place, I even go back with PCOS. You can microdose. You don't need the macro doses. And we've talked about microdosing semaglutide and other peptides at length. You don't need the high doses of the peptides when you have this sort of combination effect.
You really don't, because again, if you're doing, like, Andrea, I love what you're saying, because I would agree. Like, we want to get to the root here still. Like, and I really think that if we're really aiming for that, I mean, that's actually going to help with these goals too. But sometimes it can help to get your head above water, and especially if that's someone that's a goal that they really want. They've had so much struggle that microdosing can be so beneficial while we're still working on these other things too. And I just, I
don't look for a magic pill. That's all I want. With any medication, any peptide.
But if it is a both and, it can be a great tool.
Exactly.
Like a very big tool for some people.
Absolutely.
So, and it doesn't have to be long term either. So when you have this sort of entourage effect, you can be on it for a short term, lowest dosage, avoid the potential side effects of long term use at higher doses, and be fine. And I think that's the context of how I think these things can really shine.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're not going to tell someone to take has Crohn's disease or diverticulitis or ulcerative colitis. You're not going to say, take your BPC 157 and that's going to solve all your world problem and still keep eating Pizza Hut. You wouldn't do that. Like you would want to couple this with smart decisions. So I think anytime that this new research comes out and we get super excited about that study, because that's an amazing study that some of those numbers you pointed out. But I'm still an advocate for figuring out why the body needs the support in the first place.
With retatrutide or semaglutide or any of these peptides around metabolic health, if there is environmental toxins, for example, that's causing the insulin resistance, those medications are doing nothing to deal with endocrine disruptors and microplastics and forever chemicals or whatever else is going on.
Yeah.
That's why there can be, for some people, this sort of honeymoon period, and you need the high doses because it stops working because you didn't deal with the root causes.
Yeah.
So when you have this sort of both and approach, then you can deal with why the insulin resistant caused the insulin resistance in the first place.
Yep. Yeah. That's how I feel about it.
Cool. All right. Did we irritate enough of the country? Are we good to go?
Well, we definitely alienated at least 2 states.
100%.
Southern Utah, not Northern Utah.
DC is probably pissy right now too about the petition.
It's fine.
But it's okay.
New York, because I call them elitist.
Are we? Okay, so 3 states. Have we?
I'm just joking, guys. I love every single one of you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
All
of the
50
United States.
states of you.
But listen, at the end of the day, are we really doing our job if we're not pissing people off? I don't know.
No, seriously. If you're not irritating some people, what are you doing?
Well, you're appeasing people at that point.
People pleaser. I'm a recovering people pleaser.
You are. Actually, Emily and I were just talking about this. We're really proud of you.
You talked about me behind my back?
In a positive light.
All right.
Oh my God.
I'm just kidding. All right, guys.
Oh Lord.
If you want to learn more about
I give you a compliment.
If you want to learn more about our clinical work, lots of free resources, guys. I think it's like a companion to The Art of Being Well, because there's just articles every week, links to PubMed, all the good stuff.
Yep.
You can check it out at drwillcole.com. We'll see you next time.